Yeah, so I was going to look through a strength and weakness analysis on Nasdaq and also breadth indicators. Indicator one. So just to see if we're in a bullish and bearish market and what price is telling us. So just look first at price. So when we came down here, price was pretty strong down. The up move is not as strong. We come down. That candle here is stronger than all previous candle here in that. So that's a very bullish sign in October, or actually in November. Really strong move. Come back down. Still a bit strong down move. But this move, up move, is stronger than this down move. And here we had a lot of black, which is down. A lot of black. But here suddenly we have more white. That's an easy way to look at strength and weakness. And just it's a very simple way. So from here, we can be really bullish. Momentarily, at least. And maybe it could get stronger by time. At this point here, we're really low on breadth signal. Like around 15. We'll look at that later. So keep that in mind. Even though we're actually up here on like a double, a local double top, or actually triple top actually, and we also have more marks here. Still we're quite low on breadth indicator. So we're kind of oversold here from that indicator point of view. So if we would come down further, we will get really oversold, and that could be a signal for the new multi-year bull market to start. And often bull markets start in March or October for calendar reasons. That's how we we use time. So because of quarters and half years. And so let's see. So that was price. Price alone, we see a character change here. And we have a break of structure here on this one, which is usually a start of an up move. We have a retest here, right? So let's look at, I want to look at anchored VWAP. Let's look at that. So if we draw an anchored VWAP, so that's a volume weighted average price, and we can put it on from a location. And I put the anchored VWAP from the first strong negative candle starting the down move. And then the volume weighted average price is up here. This is where people are. And look here as we pushing into that. Let's also put on volume profile and move it to the same location from where the bear move started. And I wish we could, actually, I don't want to be in there. So let's do it like this. Stupid. Okay, maybe like, where is it? Here. Okay. So when we come up here, we see yellow is down and blue is up, volume. But mostly we're looking at the amount of volume. So this is control point, right? So when we came up here, we tested that control point. One could see it as that. I'm also going to show you that similar from another tool. Anyhow, when we come up here, we have less volume, but just above here, we have a bit more volume. But if we go more like this, I think more recent, we want 1 year. Yeah, so this is more or less 1 year. And then we see there's very low volume here, but up. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, just above here, we have a bit more volume than here. Not as much as down here, but a bit more. So there's some people still in there, which also VWAP signifies, right? So if we could push over here 13,050, say, then we would be pretty, well, it's still a bit of volume. So there's a block of volume up here, for sure. But the more we come in on more recent time, we will see that there's overwhelming volume below and not above. So that's interesting, because these people, I don't need to explain that. It's just going to be support here, and this is going to be resistance, right? So that's another view. So we have two ways of seeing resistance, and they are, well, both from volume and up and down moves. I'm going to turn those off, this off, and also this off. And then third thing showing resistance is, of course, we have several points showing it. 1, 2, 3. We also have down moves here, but let's say 4. And we also have a couple of down over here, and we also have it over here. So the market has memory, as we know, and this area is pretty important, 13,000-ish area, right? On Nasdaq. And Nasdaq a bit stronger than SPY. Don't want to look at SPY too much, but just look at that SPY is a bit, maybe I turn this off. It's just weaker. It's below the shorter term moving averages, or actually just crossing above, and actually that's a cross here from the 9 and 20. That's interesting, price over. So that's actually bullish. Anyhow, let's go back to Nasdaq and turn on things out. So we have also another thing. Price had a character change here and went stronger, and it's also stronger here after the retest. Like the down move is not as strong as the up move. It's made the same distance in a much shorter time, and this was just a stronger, longer move than this one. And break of structure, this is classic Wyckoff, right? We have a triple bottom with a retest of the previous high here. So that's a super strong move. Anyhow, 9 price is above the 9 EMA. I have 9. Don't ask me why. Look at this as 10, and the 20 is below. It's surfing. Price is surfing the 9 here, and they also have a distance in between them, which is an indication of trend, right? So like here. So we had a crossing here. The Nasdaq SPY was just doing this thing here. It looks like here. So it's 2 weeks late after Nasdaq. SPY has a lot of banks, right? So that's why. And because the banks have been, well, going to close to zero, some of them. Anyhow. So is that it? The retest is like one of the stronger things here. And also if we look at volume profile, I think I showed it kind of retested that volume shelf as well, and the control point. So that's also a signal of strength. So that's the main reasons for strength. But we also had some reasons for resistance here, right? We saw that with the volume profile and the anchored VWAP, and also the many times it resisted. So it makes it stronger until it doesn't, because the more time you test it, finally it's gonna break. Let's look at breadth. Let's go to TC 2000, where we have the T2108 indicator, which is stocks above 40-day moving average. I forgot to show you one other thing with let's go back and let's turn on other moving averages. So here we can turn off the other ones, This is 55 and this is 100. And why this is important is 100 I see as a balance point, very similar to the other things we saw with the control point, where it bounced here, and it also like a previous top, etc. But the 100 is let me show you this. Maybe we'll look at weekly. So the 100 day, if we look at that on the weekly, we divide 100 by 5 and it's the 20 day. And the 20 day is very important for, like the week chart is important for institutions and bigger players. And that's what they look at. And it's more or less the 100. The 20 on the weekly is more or less the 100 on the daily. And I've learned that the 100 is a balance point for price. If we look on the weekly and we turn on actually I'm going to turn this on here, it's already on, and then we turn this off and this on. Okay, so now we have the 20 weekly, and let me show you something which is kind of interesting. So we see when it comes above and retest, that's and it moves away from that. That's a really, really bullish move for price to do. And as we'll see, it hasn't done that before. So each time it came up here, it was resisted. Look at that fast move away from it. Look at it. It's like a huge move, right? Really fast. It came over a bit stronger, but it failed. So this is also a failure. When it comes back down here, if it comes back up, that's a bullish move, of course, but that's how to look at it. But it failed again. It went even further down, right? So lower, low. And then it comes back up again, fails again, does a double or maybe even triple bottom here, depending how you look at it. On the weekly, it looks like 2, but it's actually 3, like 1, 2, 3 if you would look at the daily. Anyhow, it comes back above, and for the first time it doesn't fail, actually rallies away from it, and that's a really bullish move. If you look at how the price moves around indexes and other stocks as well, that's how it works. COVID low, above, retest, and then we have a huge move up. So each time it comes down here, it reaffirms the bullish trend, but once it fails there, we're on the other side, and that's just how price moves. You can see it in all charts more or less. So that was a really important thing. So one more thing supporting the change of character there, right? But we have also the T2108, which is the breadth indicator of stocks. And here I have it as candles, which is not a normal view. Normally you would have it as line. But the most important E is this is an oscillating thing that goes from 0 to 100, but it doesn't come to 100 ever, I think. And it doesn't really come to 0, but it can come close. If we look at the COVID low, it was actually down at, what's the low? 797. That's not COVID low. Wait, what's wrong? Oh yeah, here it is. So that's around, is this even part of it? Yeah, so that, no, that's not, that's just my line. So it came down to around 146. That's really low. That's the lowest. Let's go over to month. So no, the lines are really, let's turn off the lines. So the 08, is it 08? Is lower than COVID low. And over here in 80, the crash of 87 is lower as well. But the COVID low is like one of the lowest in the last 30 years. Oh, that's 40 years, right? Not 30. Wait. What? Yeah, it's around 30 years. Sorry about that. Anyhow, let's turn this on. So it's oscillated. So a reading below 20 can be pretty low. So up here I have the SPY. So let's look at the COVID low. We're on the weekly now. We look over here. As it was at that to 143 was the low point of the oscillating. And once it did that, look at the up move after. It's a huge up move. And that's a move of 84% on the SPY. In what? 2 years? What is that? 1.8 years. So that's a huge move. And each time it comes down here, it's gonna move up. This is gonna be the low point, more or less. Especially if it's low. This one is lower. And same here. We come to what is this? Is this? Yeah, September, October low. It became October low, but actually the lowest point was on this candle was on September. But it's just, this is the month candle, sorry. So let's look at day. We come back here in October. The lowest point was 797, and it is pretty low actually. Below 10 is really low reading, and we have the bottom here, which started actually became a double bottom, right, or maybe actually a triple bottom, and we have the retest on here with a higher low actually. And normally people don't read these as charts, actually more like an oscillator with important points. Like below 20 we can expect a short-term bullish move if it comes up, rallies up, and below 10 we can expect a longer bullish move, and below like around 5 or 7, something like that, we can actually sometimes there's a probability of a multi-year bull market after like a really low reading, like we saw in COVID. And either a very strong 2-year rally or a like maybe even a decade rally with a more normal move, like not straight up, right? And yeah, so another thing to note. So above here also, you see here, when it comes above here, it's gonna be the high point, right? This one really works, and it's because the market is cornered either way. It has nowhere else to go, more or less. It could go lower, but it's not probable. You need really like a huge event for it to go lower, and if it starts to rally up, then normally we'll have a bullish move in some term. It could be short term or longer term. Anyhow, you can also see something I never seen anyone show before. But maybe I shouldn't show you this, but I like broadening ranges. And you're not supposed to chart these instruments. But I've noted that we do get a lower low until we don't. And that would make sense actually, from my perspective, because you will have things happening in the market, getting like problems are getting priced in, and market oscillates. So on the longer term, I don't know how to explain this, but on the longer term, we're gonna price in an event of a bigger crash because shit in the system, and that's what we get at times. And you can see this happening. I wouldn't say that's for sure, but it's something I've noted, something I look for, and I hope that we come down to 5 here, because that would mean we would probably get a multi-year bull market, as I learned from Stockby, Pradeep at Stockby. And he didn't show me this broadening range thing he wouldn't like this, I think. Or maybe he would, I don't know. Anyhow, I mean, the horizontal lines is what's important, the figures, because it's like only 5% of the stocks, not 5%, sorry. Yeah, only 5% of stocks would be above the 40-day, which is like really low reading. As 40 days, a mid-range moving average. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I'm hoping for it to come down here, and then we could have a huge move. And how it would get there, I'm not sure, because if we go back here to Nasdaq, I think it looks kind of bullish, but maybe, like one scenario, we get another bad event from a bank or something, and we can, let's get back to this thing, that the reading actually is pretty low already. We were at, what, like here, we were at 12.79 on Friday. That's pretty low. It's below 20, it's getting close to 10, but we pushed up a bit at the end of the day. But we're still kind of low here, and on the index, actually Nasdaq only, not SPY, but on the index on this index we're pretty high. But of course IVM and those are crushed. Anyhow, but if we get like come down here, just here, I think we could go towards 10 and maybe lower. And especially if we would fail this, come down like somewhere here, that would be really good, I think. But the more probable is that maybe we go up a bit and then come down stronger to maybe here or a bit above, and we get a lower reading on here. I hope we can get it in this move, but maybe we need it in the next move. So up and then down, maybe. I wish we could get it in this move, and then if we would get it in this move, probability would be that we get the low in May or June or July, somewhere around there, depending on how steep it goes. But if it goes up first, I think that's more probable. If it goes up first, then we could have the low actually lay a bit later, a couple of months later. And anyhow, this last part, take that with like a scope of salt, but the low reading is important. That doesn't need to be taken with a grain of salt. But this broadening range thing, you really can just have it in the back of your mind that it might be something to check for. That's how I see it, and that's the video.